Hello everyone, welcome to Absolute Geography. Here we take your geography understanding from classroom to continents. In our previous videos, we have discussed the major physiographic divisions of India. Today, we will discuss the Himalayan system in detail. The Himalayas are a system of mountain ranges running from west to east for about 2400 km. They are part of a larger mountain system connected to the Pamir Nodes. The Himalayas consist of three parallel ranges, the Himadri, the Himachal and the Shivalik. Starting with Himadri, also known as the Greater Himalayas. This is the highest range with an average height of about 6,000 meters. It remains snow covered throughout the year and contains some of the highest peaks in the world, such as Mount Everest and Kanchenjunga. It also has important glaciers like Gangotri and Kedarnath. To the south of the Himadris lies the Himachal or the Lesser Himalayas. Its average elevation is about 4,500 meters. Important ranges here include Pir Panjal, Dhauladhar and Mahabharata. Unlike the Greater Himalayas, the Lesser Himalayas are discontinuous. Between the Greater Himalayas and the Lesser Himalayas, several beautiful valleys are located, such as the Kashmir Valley and the Kathmandu Valley. Further south, we have the Shivalik or the Outer Himalayas. These are the youngest ranges and have an average height of about 1000 to 1500 meters. Between the Shivalik and the Himachal ranges, there are flat-floored valleys called dunes such as Dehradun and Kothari Dun. Now beyond the Greater Himalayas, to the north, we have the Trans-Himalayan ranges. These include the Zanskar, Ladakh and the Karakoram range. They are not part of the main Himalayan ranges but are closely associated with them. Apart from the main ranges, there are also smaller extensions known as offshoots of the Himalayas. First, northwestern side. In the northwest, beyond the Indus River and near Nanga Parbat, Himalayas take a sharp bend called Hairpin Bend and continue as Hazara Range, eventually extending into Suleiman and Kirthar ranges, that is in Pakistan. One thing needs to be remembered here, that these ranges lie outside the main Himalayan system and are not part of it. Then in the northeast, beyond the Dihang Gorge, the Himalayas again take a sharp southward turn and continue as the Purvanchal Hills. These include the Patkaivam, Naga Hills and Mizo Hills. And then it extends further into Myanmar as the Arkan Yoma. Now there is another way to divide the Himalayas based on location. This is called the regional division, also known as the longitudinal division. Geographers divide the Himalayas into western, central and eastern parts. Starting from the western Himalayas, they lie between the Indus and Kali rivers. They include the regions of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. This is the widest part of the Himalayas and has extensive snow-covered areas and glaciers. The ranges include the Karakoram Range, Ladakh Range, Pir Panjal, Zanskar and Kailash Range. The average annual rainfall here is comparatively low, generally less than 100 cm. The vegetation mainly consists of alpine and coniferous forest. Between Kali and Teesta rivers lie the central Himalayas, mainly covering Nepal. This region has some of the highest peaks in the world, including Mount Everest and Annapurna. It is narrower compared to the western Himalayas. The eastern Himalayas lie between Teesta and Brahmaputra rivers. They cover Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. This region is narrower but receives heavy rainfall. Due to this, it has dense forest cover. The vegetation here is mainly tropical and evergreen. The slopes are steep and the region is highly dissected by rivers. One important point for ISC students, only two divisions are given in your syllabus, Western and Eastern Himalayas. The Central Himalayas are not treated separately. The dividing line is taken to be 82.5 degree east longitude, that is the standard meridian of India. Now there is another way to divide the Himalayas, and this is based on the river valleys. This division helps us to study the Himalayas in a more detailed manner. First, we have the Punjab Himalayas. They lie between the Indus and the Satluj rivers. This region includes parts of Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh. It consists of important ranges like the Karakoram, Ladakh, Zanskar and Pir Panjal. Next, we have the Kumaon Himalayas, which lie between the Satluj and Kali rivers. This region mainly covers Uttarakhand. There are several valleys found here, such as the Dehradun Valley. Then comes the Nepal Himalayas, lying between Kali and Tista rivers. This region mainly lies in Nepal and contains some of the highest peaks in the world, such as Mount Everest and Annapurna. Finally, we have the Assam Himalayas, which lie between Tista and Dihang rivers. This region covers parts of northeastern India. It is characterized by heavy rainfall, dense forest, and highly dissected terrain. So, this division is simply a more detailed way of studying the same Himalayan system based on river boundaries. Now, let us look at why Himalayas are so significant. Starting with the climate influence, the Himalayas play a major role in shaping India's climate. They block the cold winds coming from Central Asia, which is why our winters are not extremely severe. At the same time, they force the monsoon winds to rise, causing rainfall across the country. Without the Himalayas, much of India would have been dry and almost desert-like. They also act as a natural barrier in the north, making movement and invasion difficult. Because of their height, rugged terrain, and harsh climate, crossing them is not easy, which has historically protected India from invasions. The Himalayas are the source of many major perennial rivers. Rivers like Ganga and Brahmaputra originate here and are fed by glaciers and snow, which is why they flow throughout the year. As these rivers flow down from the mountains, they carry fine silt along with them. This silt gets deposited in the northern plains, making the soil extremely fertile and suitable for agriculture. Then, since these rivers descend from great height, they also have a lot of energy. This makes them ideal for generating hydroelectric power, giving the region huge energy potential. The Himalayas are also rich in forest resources. Due to changes in altitude, there is a wide variety of vegetation, from tropical to alpine, along with diverse flora and fauna. Again, although farming is difficult on steep slopes, terrace farming is practiced in many areas in Himalayas. Crops like rice, maize, and fruits are commonly and easily grown in these regions. The Himalayan region has also mineral resources. However, due to difficult terrain and technological limitations, they are not fully exploited. But in the future, with better technology, this potential can be used more effectively. So, whenever we study the Himalayas, we are not just studying mountains, we are understanding a system that shapes the entire geography of India. In the next video, we will move to the relief of the northern plains and understand how these rivers actually shape the plains.